What is up, everybody? Good to see you all. Hope you guys are doing well. Of course, it's your boy Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. Actually, I have to wear the headphones today. I forgot. We got an interview. I got to wear the crappy headphones. But that being said, it's good to see you guys out there. It's good to be back streaming. I'm super excited, despite the fact that I'm just recovering from this flu, whatever, this crazy Asia bug that is totally not Wuhan virus part 5. No, but I'm feeling a lot better today. I'm feeling a lot more energized. My throat's feeling better. So we're ready to do interviews. We're ready to talk. And this is actually one I had scheduled for about almost a month because this young lady, she invited me on a panel. And I told her, as I tell everybody in my standard form, which is I normally don't do panels because panels are where all the drama comes from, particularly in law too, with these law tests. But I will do a one-on-one. So I am very happy to have on my show for one-on-one to have a nice personal conversation. Lauren DeLaguna. Lauren, good morning.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here, Legal Mindset.
Yeah, it's very good to have you here. And I was very happy too that, you know, we have in common that you're down in Miami. That's my former hometown. I lived in Miami for 23 years, pretty much my life. So, you know, I'm a little jealous right now. I can't wait to get back. I'm excited to come back for Christmas, but I assume the weather is still great because it's freezing here in Tokyo.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. I mean, sometimes it rains, but even when it's raining, it's hot rain. So yeah, it's great weather. Yeah. Great too.
Yeah, good. No, I miss it. I feel like that's the one thing I have to have is the hot weather. It's gotta, if my Christmas is cold, I get angry. I'm just saying. I gotta be able to go to the beach.
I do understand that, but I do like the appearance of a white Christmas. Like I wouldn't mind traveling to somewhere where I can have a white Christmas and then travel home.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do though. That's what I do though. I go somewhere for 1 week and I see snow and I'm like, oh look, it's snow. It's cute. You know why it's cute? Because I don't have to shovel it because I'm just visiting, right?
Right, exactly. Shoveling is terrible.
With any of the bullshit. All the bullshit is on the people who live there. Yeah, I just have to go. I see it. It looks cute. I'm like, tee hee hee, and then I get the fuck out. Right? That's
the way to be.
That's all I need. That's all I need in life. But seriously, we haven't talked before, so I wanted to get to know you a little bit better. You know, especially before I come on your channel or collaborate with you and stuff like that. So I know you from 2 places. Number one, I know you from, you know, collaborating with some other law tubers. I think you've been on with Nick and some of the other guys.
Legal Vices and some other ones.
You know, Vices?
Yeah.
That degenerate old fuck.
I love him. Yeah. I love Fuck It Fridays. I think I've got 2 of his Fuck It Fridays struck for my shenanigans.
Did you? What did you do?
You have to click and watch live to see how wild I get if you want to watch.
No. I don't incentivize people to support weird Korean men. They're so weird. They're so weird. What type of person lives in Korea for any period of time? It's so weird.
I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. Like international law. That's kind of fun. Speaking
of degenerates, Tankrat just got the 20 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much, Tankrat, over there internationally, over there. Our Middle Eastern connection, which I guess means that, you know, we're now supporting terrorism. I'm joking, Tankrat. Appreciate you over there in the Emirates, sending over 20 memberships. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. You guys members are great. And make sure, guys, when you see these gifts, if you don't have a membership, if you're not a member, click on accept gift membership and you can get one of those for free. So they will come to you if you accept those gift memberships. So make sure you turn that on so we can have a sea of green in the chat. We've already got pretty green in the chat. Like it looks like it's Colorado and it's 420. Like it's looking pretty good right now.
Nationwide.
Yeah. But anyways, no, I'm actually joking. I love Legal Vices. I brought him into the game. I'm really glad he's thriving. He's been doing his own thing. He's been just rocking out. So, and he's living his best life. I don't know how he works his full-time job and like normie Korean job and then comes and streams. I'm always very impressed by that. So he's a good friend of mine. Jeff's a good friend of mine. And I look forward to hanging out with that creepy old fuck when I get over to Korea, probably in a month or two. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whiskey 77 says, I know an old creepy old guy in Korea. Okay. What's up, Whiskey 77? Let's see. Okay. So I know you from Jeff, from Nick, and then also from Red Pill stuff, because I remember seeing you on with I think whatever podcast was the first I saw you on, and then I think I saw you on Fresh and Fit.
Yeah.
So I assume that like they just asked you on, like one saw you on the other and was like, hey, come on the show. And that was sort of the genesis there. You're laughing now. So
no, because that's actually not, I don't think they reach out too often. So the way that they get people are people who either want to come on the show or they'll have a dating app and they'll like kind of trick girls that way, or they'll literally pull girls off the street if they're desperate enough right before a show.
Right.
Yeah, so they're like, you're scantily clad. Come here. Want to be on a podcast?
Yeah. Which is a good strategy, which is a solid strategy, because you know it's like you get them in what they're wearing right now. You don't have to tell them to dress up. You're like, come on, wearing this right now.
Right, exactly. But so I wanted to go on these shows because they were making like important political points, and a lot of the Daily Wire crew were going on there and they were making comments on relationships and dating. And I do agree with a lot of the red pill concepts, but I do want to push back on some of the more women hating and Jew hating concepts that they have.
Well, first of all, I think the latter is definitely something that is a, like, I don't think there's nothing about, if you told me that red pill is tribal hating, like there's nothing about that. I got people that I know that you would call them red pill, right? You would call them that. And they're absolutely the most Jewish guys out there. Like you could put latkes on their latkes. You know?
No, I just went to a red pill party hosted by Donovan Sharp. Yeah,
I know Jonathan. Yeah,
okay, so I just went to a party, and like there were plenty of Jewish people there. There were also plenty of women there. Pearl was there. Like
I don't.
What?
No, it's just like it's very surprising to be like, I get why you're saying that, by the way. I get why you're saying that, because there's a certain segment, right?
Yes. And I don't think that it's everybody, but you know, like when I was on Fresh and Fit, it was like against Nick Fuentes. So that was one person. And then another person was Sneeko, who I thought was actively being a despicable boyfriend to his girlfriend. And because in real life, when we had all hung out, he had been, I don't want to use like specific terms, but he had been really rough to her. So I felt really uncomfortable with that, and I wanted to push back on that. And so I felt like I was just, speaking my point.
Yeah, well, no, obviously if you see something that's wrong, or see something that like you see that somebody's doing that you're like, hey, that's some bullshit, right? Which, by the way, is legion. And it's not just a red pill thing. I mean, this is like everywhere, right? This is why people are sick of the mainstream news, because they say one thing and they do another. And and a lot of these guys are no exception, right? They'll say one thing and then they'll do another thing, right?
Yeah.
So
that was another thing that I wanted to call out. Like, all of these guys are like, you have to be a virgin. If you're not a virgin, you're a worthless whore. And then they're like, oh, we would never date these whores, these 304 whores. And then after every show, they're actively trying to bang these women, most of them rejecting them. And it's just really funny because it's like, you're only attracted to the OnlyFans models. Like I don't see you at church. I don't see you at a mosque looking at the women in hijabs or the women who are dressed properly. I see you looking at the women who dance at 11 and clap cheeks. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not buying like a lot of what you're selling. And so if you're going to be,
how dare you shame those hardworking girls at 11? That is,
I'm not shaming them.
Establishment.
I have plenty of friends who work at 11, especially going on these shows a lot. So I'm not even disparaging them. I actually am I'm saying you're not worthless. Sneeko and Zerka love you and love your cheeks that are clapping. And I don't think that you should be shamed and told that you're worthless. Simultaneously, maybe we could help you find more value and encourage you to do better than that, because it is kind of a degenerate thing for society. But my issue is like,
what about, well, hold on. What's degenerate? What part of it do you think is degenerate? Is it just the fact that they're having sex is degenerate, or the fact that they're like, what is the degenerate?
The fact that sex has become such an open part of our society. Every woman, especially in like the Miami area, is so scantily clad. In fact, there's a video going viral right now among Twitter of this man critiquing all of the women dressed in Miami because they all look like whores. You know,
I mean, they all are, but yeah, most of them. I mean, 90%. Look, I lived in Miami. I mean, I know you're from California originally, right? So yeah. I mean, look, there's the local girls, but the girls, I know what type of girls are running it. I know. I live there.
Yeah, no, and I'm not, and I think it's degenerate. And I think like, but simultaneously to blame the women and to call them the problem, it's like, and yet you're saying you want men to lead. There seems to be a lack of leadership and a lack of following and a power struggle, which is creating these really tense sexual dynamics. And I don't think the red pill is 100% spot on, but I think they're close in a lot of areas. Like I think a lot of what they say is based foundationally in hard truths that people don't like to hear.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but I think you're like partially right and partially wrong there. So like obviously, yes, there's a certain to extent that the culture of just like, let's have endless sex forever. But I don't see that. And frankly, a lot of the guys and most guys out there don't want that. Even guys who are red pill, they don't want to have endless sex forever. Even you mentioned Donovan, right? Donovan is a long-term partner, right?
He just got married. That's what he was. Right. I'm not trying to crap on any of these people. Maybe Nico a little bit. That's like the only person.
Well, that which is fair. You can do. I care less about Sneeko.
But Donovan Sharp was very nice when I met him. He was very much a gentleman to me. He seemed very interested in only being with his wife. He didn't seem interested in like going to the strip club. It seems
exactly.
Yeah. No, I don't want to say anything negative about these people, but simultaneously what they were preaching on these shows I felt was like trying to make women look like dumb whores. And it's like, well, not all women are dumb whores, first of all.
But some certainly are. I mean, we can agree on that.
Yeah, but also
some certainly are.
If you want to go that route, right? Actually, women in average fall pretty centered on the
IQ distribution is centered, but the male IQ distribution is skewed to the other ends, right? So
exactly. So there's more male idiots than there are female idiots. However, there's more male geniuses than there are female geniuses. So if you keep pointing out the middle girls and you're like, oh, look at how dumb these middle girls are, and a bunch of like men who are like maybe 110 IQ and autistic and don't know how to get a girl because they're socially like inept, but then they get to shit on these like middle IQ girls, and then they're like, oh, all girls are retarded, and then meanwhile their bro is like sniffing glue and like, you know.
Listen, I am here for the rights of the glue sniffers, Lauren. They deserve, those glue sniffing guys deserve to be smashing. I wanna hook up those glue sniffers with that mid-tier pussy. I want to connect those two things together.
Usually the glue sniffers are the chads that are getting the pussy. Like
it's true. It's true.
It's the autistic smart kids that are like sitting there watching, like, why can't I get pussy? I'm so smart. Like I can, solve the quadratic formula. And it's like, but I can't figure out how to get into her pants. It's like those guys.
Well, that's because, but those guys, listen, also, to a certain extent, you think about it this way. If you had a question about these things, if you have a question about dating or whatever else as a woman, right, Lauren, you can go to Cosmo, you can go to your therapist, you can go to whoever and get a plethora of dating advice. But there's really was nowhere until the guys started talking about it. There was nowhere. And even to be very fair to the red pill guys versus the Daily Wire guys, the traditional conservatives, all they do is critique. They don't offer a viable alternative. See, the only, they say, oh, well, just get married, right? That's the Steven Crowder response.
I know, look how well that worked out for him.
Exactly, or for Prager or for Crowder. And it's like, well.
My mom always shits on that too. My mom's always like Jerry, like my dad's Jerry. Jerry, you always watch Dennis Prager and you always like listen to relationship advice from him. Hasn't he been divorced 3 times? It's like, yes, he gives great advice. Like
3 times. He can't keep his own goddamn advice. So, you know, maybe you don't need to be listening to those guys. Maybe you shouldn't be. Maybe you should really take marriage super seriously and not get engaged in marriage very flippantly, particularly in America, particularly in 2023.
You know who you should speak to? James Sexton. He gives great advice, and he's in the red pill space. He was, first of all, I interviewed him last night. He's been interviewed by Soft White Underbelly and by Lex Friedman. He's an attorney, a divorce attorney, who he follows all the red pill, like he follows the red pill content creators, but he gives really great advice on like dating and relationships and stuff and getting married and not getting married. And it's actually quite fascinating.
Yeah, that's a good name though, Sexton. So you're saying that he knows the way.
He knows the way. He advises not to get like really just don't get married unless you're sure. Like legitimately great reason to.
I agree with that. I think that's a really good. You should not get married unless you have a reason and a purpose, and you have contingencies, and frankly, there's consequences because you have to have skin in the game. Both parties have to have skin in the game because it's serious. It's not a fucking joke. It's a most serious thing in your life. Even if you're not a religious person and you're just thinking about it from a legal standpoint, it's serious alone, right? But then you add on the religious side, and if you're religious, particularly if you're Christian, right, you should be taking that extraordinarily seriously. But of course, most Christians don't do that in America anymore.
Do you believe that non-religious people have a legitimate reason to get married?
I personally don't. I think that non-religious people, there's no practical reason why they should get married. I don't understand why there's any reason to get married. And what I hear from girls, usually women back, the response, well, it's like a guarantee. I'm like, but you can get divorced. So what is it guaranteeing?
Right.
Nothing.
Well, it's guaranteeing financial security for a woman if she's going to, like, for instance, give up her job and become a homemaker. Then most states statutes will have like divorce automatic, unless there's like they sign some sort of a prenup and that prenup isn't voidable.
So you just passed the Florida bar, right?
Yeah.
And Jersey, right? Or was it?
No, Arizona.
Arizona, sorry, Florida and Arizona. So was family law on your bar exam?
Yeah.
Okay. It was on mine too. I was kind of pissed because I studied it, but like not that hard. So I had an equitable distribution question on my bar exam.
Oh no, that's really tough. Wait, what state?
Florida. I'm a Florida lawyer.
Oh no.
So yeah, I passed, but I was like, this is some bullshit, some complete bullshit. But the problem is that now Florida did get rid of permanent alimony, which I actually am a fan of getting rid of permanent alimony. I don't think that alimony needs to go on forever. I think there should be a time at which you can rehabilitate yourself, or you've been given enough money, whether that's 10 years or whatever else it is, right? That's saying, okay, I paid you for 10 years. You should be able to figure it out by now. Or come to some other sort of situation, or save the money that I'm giving you in order to use it in the future, right? Like there's all these possibilities of this free money that is being given to you. So there is the issue of you've got alimony, and then on top of that, you've got obviously child support, right? And the biggest issues with these are, the failure to modify them, right? So it's very difficult to modify and change these things like once they're locked in. And also the other thing is to spend the money where you need the money to be spent. So, frankly, I have no problem, giving child support if they're my children and I know it's going to go towards my children. But the problem is that's not the way child support works.
Right.
The way it works is I give you, so if you have my babies, Lauren, right? And we break up, right? We're done and I have to pay you.
Give me money.
I'm able to hand you $2,000, right? So like, let's say I hand you $2,000 a week, because you're like super expensive, So I'm giving you $2,000 a week, whatever. And you're spending all that money because you're in Miami on coke and male gigolos, right?
You know me.
There's no restrictions. There's nothing saying a dime has to go towards the kids. The kids literally starve to death, you know, and it's totally that part of it is illegal. Now you're gonna get child neglect, you know, like
Yeah.
you know, don't hope for Casey Anthony part 2, but
No.
but you know, you technically can spend the money on whatever the fuck you want to spend it on. So
yeah, I wonder what the legal reasoning is behind that, just because it would be too difficult to monitor every single bill and where it's going.
I think it used to be. I think it used to be, right? That it used to be. But I think that, you know, maybe 200 years ago or 100 years ago or 50 years ago, but now we can easily monitor the expenditures and easily say this has to go towards clothing, food, in school, like in medical expenses.
We could petition the legislature to change a statute so all fines have to go into a separate card, and that card, yeah, that'd be great.
It'll only be used for kids stuff, right?
For kids stuff, grocery store.
Jack and Coke is not.
But it's still difficult because, like, let's say I have that card, right? And then I shop at Gap and I'm like, oh, I got him like a bunch of school clothes, and it like turns out I just got myself like a nice like down jacket and like a bunch of shit. Like, and then we went to the grocery store to get him a bunch of food for school, and I just like got myself some booze and then like kicked your kid in the ass and then told you it wasn't yours 18 years later, then told you to get fucked.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you get devious ass women that are gonna do shit like that. Like that's gonna happen. Like devious ass women are gonna do things like that for sure. For sure.
Yeah. I actually have a pretty crazy case that I can't give too much details away, but it involves.
No, these are your cases. You know, you got to be careful if you're involved in this.
No, I'm not working on. I'm working on it as a journalist, not as a legal.
Oh, journalist. Okay, just a journalist. Okay.
Yeah, just as a journalist. But yeah, no, I'm having a mother come on in a couple of weeks to talk about the stepmother come on to talk about the real mom's biological abuse, and it's gonna be an interesting show. Yeah, to say the least.
Well, there's some crazy stepmoms out there.
Oh yeah.
Just yeah. Speaking of crazies, we got to handle these crazies in the chat. Okay, first of all, $20 super sticker from Leprechaun Gold. Appreciate you so much for the Shiba #1. Thank you so much. $5 from Brick Cormier says, only one reason to get married is children. If there are no children on the way or being planned in the future for marriage, it is a sucker bet for men. What do you think about that?
Well, the argument that I've been hearing from like red pillars, such as like Andrew and Rachel Wilson, is that even if you're secular, there's no reason to get married, even if you want kids. Because in fact, if you do end up wanting to split later, it's actually much easier for the kids not to drag them through the court system. So, but I understand at the same time hearing, okay, if you want to get married beforehand in order to have kids to incentivize you to stay together, because you know that separating will be super difficult with the legal process. I mean, you're just giving yourself a future barrier in case you want to leave, but it's not difficult. I mean, the thing is, it's easy to file. It's just long and it's costly for the dude. Like, it's not difficult. What's difficult is if you go to another country, for example, where you have fault divorce, where, you know, they still have, many different countries have fault divorce, where you have to prove a reason, a justification for divorcing, such as he is physically abusing me, he is doing drugs, he is a criminal, he is, you know, whatever, doing something very, very bad, doing you anymore, abusing the children. Not having sex with you in some places can be a reason. I know. Right? So, I mean, that can be it too. That's fine. But you actually have to put a reason down. You know, you've got to say, this is why. That's real. That's what. There's certain states in the United States where you can opt in to a covenant marriage. But those are not enforced. You can get out of those. You can back end out of those because you opt into it, but the laws can't force you to stay.
the laws can't force you to stay married, but for like above and beyond the no fault limits of the state. So like you can opt into that in, like I say, Arkansas, but you're going to be able to get that dissolved is what I'm trying to say. Like if a woman wants to back out of a covenant marriage, they've backed out of covenant marriages. They've dissolved covenant marriages. So it's like a voluntary thing. It's like you can opt in, but like at any point you can withdraw your consent. It's like sex nowadays, right? Even if you're already having sex, at any point, mid-thrust, you can change consent, right? Like your whole consent.
When did they change that statute? I recently had a debate on this, and I didn't remember when that statute changed, if it changed before or after the Me Too movement. I thought it was after the Me Too movement, but I couldn't say it definitively. So,
I don't know. I don't know. I think that that statute, it was changed. It was changed a while ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I don't remember the date exactly. Simon says right here, covenant marriage in 3 states, Arizona, Arkansas, Louisiana. But like I said, I have to pull up the cases, but I found cases of women getting out of it, men getting out of it as well, right? People getting out of covenant marriage because they're like, well, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like, well, okay, I guess we can't legally force you. So shame on you. God is judging you, but legally, like so
funny.
Let's see. It's starting here. Sleazy, number 1. Oh yeah, that's one I asked for. So what's your issue with Hotep Jesus? What's your issue with Hotep Jesus, Lauren?
I don't have an issue with him.
My good friend Brian Sharp. Why are you beefing with him? I've had him on my show many times.
No. I don't have an issue with him. What happened was we were on a panel together on Chrissy Mayer's panel.
Oh, well, okay. First of all, you're on Chrissy's show. So drama will ensue because that's all Chrissy tries to generate is fucking bullshit drama. So you're involving Chrissy Mayer. So let's start right there. That's problem number 1. Problem number 1 is that hoe. Okay, continue.
Okay, so I guess you were shit talking. You were shit talking Pearl on Chrissy Mayer.
This is before you meet Pearl in real life in Miami.
This is before I met her in real life too, and I was mostly defending her. There were some parts where I was like, I don't know about this, but I was mostly defending her on Chrissy's, and so and
you weren't saying she looks like a linebacker and she's as dumb as a baboon. You weren't saying any of that. None of that was you.
That was not me.
Being nice. Okay, go ahead.
And Hotep was also mostly defending her, but then I guess he said something that upset her, so she blocked him on Twitter. I don't know, and then she started posting about it on Twitter about like the whole Chrissy Mayer panel, which is what we asked for. We were like, we hope someone clips this and sends it to her, and then someone clipped it and sent it to her. So it was like literally exactly what we asked for. And I was happy with this, like gaining subs and whatnot. I was fine with it. And but Hotep, he was mad that he got blocked. And so when I went to the Donovan Sharp party, Pearl arrived later, and then Hotep like meets Pearl at the Donovan Sharp party and starts like recording.
That's when he's streaming. Why'd you block me? Why'd you block me?
Yeah,
right?
and
like, I remember that video. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm in that video. You don't remember? I'm like in the
yeah. You're in the video to the side, like. You're like, oh, Lauren, he was like, Lauren was talking shit. And she's unblocked and like you're BFFs with her. And she's like, well, she wasn't really talking shit. And I guess Hotep said something more fucked up about Pearl, but whatever,
Yeah. And then I guess like my only like beef with Hotep, if you even want to call it that, I was like, I just thought he was a little aggressive with Pearl. And she's a woman. And he's like a tall, large man. I mean, he's not like...
He's not that threatening, though.
He's not that threatening, but like he isn't. He isn't. But you still don't want people, especially like because she is like a personality. You just don't want people up in your space with like a camera when we were all just like chilling. And
okay, did he just straight up walk up and start recording without asking?
Yeah.
Okay, I will say, Brian, homie, from homie to homie. It's me looking at the camera. Brian, don't do that, bro. I love you, but don't do that. I would always ask, right? I would ask somebody. That's my thing. Especially another like content creator to content creator. I would be like, hey, can I record this?
Yeah,
Like,
and like I felt so weird because like I feel really weird about like if I have to know cameras on me or I feel really uncomfortable. So like, and I never almost never ask people. So for instance, with Pearl, I never asked to take a picture with her. With I just met Tucker Carlson. I didn't ask to take a picture with him because I just kind of feel like it's rude for someone.
I don't do that, and it's fanboy shit. It's like I'm not your, which is fine, I support fanboys. Want to take that's fine. You can do that with whoever you want, wherever you want. I'm not gonna judge you, but for me, I'm just trying to like meet somebody and understand. Hey, I respect you. I like you. Nice to meet you. That's
And
it.
also people who are on camera a lot, like there's plenty of people that I've met like that who I didn't take pictures with. And I just feel like you're on camera all the time. It must be so obnoxious to go.
Yeah.
Like all the time, every day.
See, but here's a difference, Lauren. You have to force it. So you're like sitting here, like you're like, here's your resting bitch face. And then you have to like, like that's you. Cause you like get to go from resting bitch face to like smiling and laughing, right? See, there you go. See, how about you just be happy? Just be naturally happy all the time. Just be fucking happy. How about that?
Yeah. Okay.
Not all the time. Cool. Not all the time. But how about you're just in a state of pretty confident.
Like
the cocaine helps with that. Helps with that.
Yeah, I know. Oh, actually, I've never tried.
I know. I'm sorry. It's a Miami. I don't know if you. It's a Miami.
No. But everyone around here does it. Literally everyone does it. But the only reason
we go to weddings, it's like there's a bathroom break. All the girls come out, and suddenly they've gotten more energy. It's like, oh wow, wonder how that fucking happened.
There's a coffee machine in every woman's bathroom. I know you wouldn't know this as you're a man.
Yeah.
But that's why so many men become women these days, is they just want access to the coffee machine.
I just want it with con leche, and I'm good.
Yes, I have.
Ty Beard says for $9.99. Hello, Andrew, you fargan bastard. Good to see you, Ty. Good to see you. Appreciate you being there in the chat. And appreciate all you guys in the chat. Make sure you smash the like button for this. Share this out. It's a good interview already. I'm already having fun with Lauren. So
thank you.
Make sure you circulate this for everybody. A couple here. Tank Rat with 50 dinars says, I'm twice divorced and I'm done with relationships. I'll hang out with a gal, but no more shackles to my life. I've spent more time paying child support than being married. So, Tank Rat, I actually had a guy, this is actually ties in what we said in my comments the other day, saying, well, wouldn't men want to have isn't it horrible leading a hedonistic lifestyle where you're just meeting new women, and whatever, and or hooking up with new women instead of having a wife and a family? But I think this is the fallacy, is that a lot of these guys have already had that. Yeah. And since they've already done that, they're like, well, I just want to live my own life and occasionally let women be part of it. Like Tank Rat says here, like hang out with a gal is like occasional, like see a girl once a week, twice a week, whatever. You're seeing a girl occasionally, but that's not the focus of your life anymore. Particularly if you have kids and you've had a wife, what's up with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, do you see anything wrong with that?
Literally not at all. No. I think it's problematic. That's kind of my issue. The red pill is like problematic, shaming people for having sexual desires. And,
well, women want to have sex and men want to have sex. That's pretty normal. Pretty normal. Both want to have sex. Now there's different norms about it, and there are reasons why. I do think, well, what do you think about this? I do think there are reasons if you're looking for somebody who's a long-term partner. I do think that there are good reasons to look for people that have good moral character, that have a relatively low body count. I do think that is important, because I do think that the partner that comes out of that, the good person with the low body count, I do think that will lead to a better long-term partner if that's what you're seeking, right? So I just want to, are you pushing back on that at all, or that aspect of the red pill, or not really?
I do think there's like a lot of truth in that, like hard truth. So it's hard to hear that for women who, not that I have a high body count, but like I think that's it's rude to say that to women who maybe messed up in the past or have had like I think a lot of women, that's what the whole Me Too movement was about. Do
you think it's rude, or do you think it's hurtful?
Yeah, I think it's hurtful, and I don't know if it's necessarily always true. And so even though I think a lot of it is based in reality, and I think it's true a lot of the times, I think you're not giving a lot of women who have had difficult paths like any means for redemption. And like if you're based in Christianity, your whole purpose in life should be about giving people redemption and like the ability to see God and go the righteous path. And so if we're just calling women 304s and saying that you're useless after you've had X amount of dicks, then there's no path to redemption. And there's no, okay, you're not worthy. You're not worthy of wifey. You're not wifey material. You're not worthy to be a mom. You have no value other than you're for the streets. You know, it's like, okay, well, do you want these women to have guide like leadership and a good life in the future? And then a lot of times what I'm seeing too is these guys being like, oh, they want to be whores in the beginning and then fix themselves and then find a guy later in life. It's like, oh, well, you're already, I've been seeing a lot of memes like that. And it's like, well, what do you want? I don't know.
Well,
and also
right.
90% of women are not virgins when they're married. So whereas just a few decades, 95% of women
in the US.
In the US, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's definitely an American statistic. But it's like, yeah, absolutely an American statistic, or probably a Western statistic. So probably true in the UK, Germany, France. I would say that's probably very.
Whereas like a few decades ago, I think it was like 90% of women were virgins when married.
Well, and to say that's had no difference is wrong. It definitely has had a difference, and it is I think it is beneficial. But I get what you're saying. Now, I will say this. I don't feel the need to square the circle between red pill and Christianity. I know other people feel the need to do that. I'm like, these are two independent things. If you want to, you know, however you're going to take what you know from X and apply it to Y is your own deal, right? Like if you're trying to take X and apply it to Y, you've got to act in a certain way. Like if you're a Christian, right, and you're trying to act in a Christian way, you have to apply Christian standards. You have to apply it in a certain way. So like if you're a true Christian, then yeah, you shouldn't be out there fucking whores. You shouldn't be out there doing this and that. But at the same time, as a Christian, right, you can say you are deserving of redemption to God. That is between you and God. Right. But that does not mean the relationship on earth between you and other human beings doesn't need to ignore those facts or ignore the history or say that's completely irrelevant. Right. Because obviously some people are, even in the Bible, right? Because I am a Christian. I almost went to seminary here. Even in the Bible, it says everybody, when, you know, Jesus is talking about the roles that people play. Some people are fit to be teachers, preachers, pastors, whatever, you know, fathers and wives and husbands are part of that. Right. Some people are not, the words of Jesus, some people are not fit to be mothers and fathers and husbands. You know, that's just not the role for them in this world. Right.
That may be true, but I don't think it's like, I don't think someone who's had a promiscuous past is somebody who is incapable of becoming a very good mom. And I don't think somebody who is a virgin is necessarily a virgin who becomes a mother is necessarily going to be a great mother. So
I think that what you're saying is right in that there can be exceptions, but it's like an exception doesn't prove the rule thing. It's like, yes, I've seen strippers that I know a girl who's a stripper, fantastic, good person, great person, loves her kid, great mom. But she'd be the first person to say that all the other strippers she works with, not good moms, right? You know what I mean?
I'm talking mostly, first of all, actively stripping, I think is like a horrible thing to put a kid in front of. Like, I don't think that's, like, and you're actively living like a lifestyle that I think is
former in that case, former.
Okay. But yeah, then that's my thing. Like if you've lived maybe a degenerate lifestyle in your youth and you've repented, I don't think that should exclude you from future relationships and make you not worthy. And then also I think, and red pillars say that that's how they feel. And like, as a woman, I shouldn't be telling them how they should or shouldn't feel. But simultaneously, all of the leaders of their movement tend to go for women who have had extremely sexual pasts. And then they just shame one another.
But are they going for them? Are they marrying those women and having children with them? Or are they just, you know? Are they?
I mean, I think. Well, I think
Who?
they're. I'm trying. Well, okay. So the ones that I
So
was
none.
hanging out.
So
So I
Sneeko's
thought.
not married. Zerka's not married. And first of all, by the way, Sneeko doesn't. Sneeko like, I don't even want to call him red pill because he actually like dismisses it and whatever. He says, I'm not whatever. He's his own guy, he's like his own little island, right? But that being said, the guys who are married, like they tend to be married to pretty solid people. I mean, if you look at Devin, right? She's pretty solid.
I never
If
met
you look
her,
at
but she seems like a lovely lady.
right,
I don't know her.
let me just put it this way because I don't want to dox anybody because I know a lot of people are anonymous, right? I know some wives of red pill people, and they're very nice women. They're very good women. They're definitely wife material women, right? I rarely have seen these guys turn around and marry women that are absolute thoughts. Now they want to fuck them for sure.
I'm not saying that they're currently absolute thoughts. I'm saying maybe they've had like a history of thoughthoodum, and then they went to recovery and they worked on themselves independently, and now they're new people. And the whole idea of you have X number of body count already, and so you're worthless and there's no path to redemption. That's my issue. Now these women might be lovely, but we have no idea what their body count is. Maybe they seem like beautiful little churchgoers, but they could be like, maybe they got trains ran on them in their 20s. We have no idea. Like we have no, but like it doesn't matter because they're doing the work now to be good women, to be good wives, to be good. So like I don't think it particularly matters if they're doing the work to be the good person that they are today. Is all I'm saying.
I agree. And look, I'm all for if I see somebody genuinely doing work, like they're genuinely putting in work, I give them a lot of credit for that, right? You get a lot of points for genuinely putting in work because that's really the key is being genuine about it. Because of course, when I was going to church a long time ago and I was assistant youth children's pastor, I'd see these girls day after day. They would go into church and they go, I'm changing my ways. I'm so sorry. They're taking communion. They're like, I'm so sorry. I'm changing my ways. Lord, I'm so sorry. Jesus, help me. And the next day they are at the club, drunk as shit, doing a line off of some guy's, tip, right? And they're, getting ran through Friday, Saturday night. And then Sunday they're back in the church, right? It's this cycle where every week they go out, they do it, and they ask for repentance, right? They're out there.
Let me give you an example. Let me give you a different example. Like one of the Paul brothers, Logan Paul, one of them.
Logan.
He got married recently, right?
Yes, that's what we're talking. That's what I was going to talk about. Yeah,
and she seems like a lovely lady, and everyone.
She's very lovely.
Oh my God, she's posted pictures in the past with all of these men, so she's probably been ran through.
She's super lovely. Yes. So this is actually the revenge porn case that we're going to talk about. I was going to talk about. This is actually a legal filing, so I'm not like showing you porn here. This is actually the Dylan Daniels.
You're not showing me porn just because it's a legal filing. That means you're not showing me. You could very much be showing. In fact, you could be showing me the worst kind of porn. Just
no. It's in fact quite legal because it's legal filing. Okay, so Nita Agdal has posted very spicy photos out there in the past, and she posted them publicly on Instagram. So the question is if you post a photo, publicly, right? And so let's say Lauren, you post a sexy bikini shot, right? Which may or may not be hanging out there, hanging out there, whatever. You post a super spicy one. You've got maybe it's like just pasties. You've got like pasties.
Ooh, I've never gone that spicy.
Let's say you do it.
Okay,
let's say you do it.
Let's say I got
pasties, like one pasty down there, right? And you put that out there. You send it, and then it's public. It's on your public Instagram. So at some point, somebody captures it, saves it, whatever, right? Yeah. You, in the future, for whatever point, maybe you get a boyfriend, and your boyfriend's like, hey, Lauren, I'm okay with your 304 past, but I want you to get rid of that pasty photo. How about you get rid of that one? And you're like, all right, baby, I got you. And you take that one down.
Yeah.
if somebody else posts the photo that you once posted publicly on your Instagram, is that revenge porn?
The best case you'd have is copyright. And I've already looked into this before for a different friend. No, you're fucked. Like, it's not revenge porn. First of all, she's in one of the 4 states that, first of all, the poster, who I don't even know what state the poster is in, because there's 4 states in which there's no revenge porn laws. So if that poster is in one of the 4 states where there's no revenge porn laws, then she could really suck a dick, even if it was revenge porn. However, It's not revenge porn at all in the slightest. Revenge porn requires, in a lot of, first of all, every state statute is different, but in a lot of state statutes, it requires some sort of like intimate relationship between the sender and the sendee. And
that's typically a criteria in, I think, like 90% of the statutes.
Yeah. And so, and like some sort of private, I don't know. I would imagine that there's some sort of privacy element to the statute as well. Like the photo was sent in privacy as well. I would have
you have to have some expectation of privacy, right? Like some,
right. And there's no expectation of privacy in an Instagram posting.
No. Yeah. You're literally sending it
to the world.
To the world, like, hey, here's my.
It's like it's like posting something in an advertisement and then expecting an expectation of privacy, like watching a Wendy's commercial and then them being like, you are posting my Wendy's stuff, and then being like,
right. It's like, well, you used my public information that I put out there for everybody for free. It's like, okay, all right, okay. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
That sucks for her.
It sucks for her. I don't think she has a case. I really don't think she has a case, unless some things are things that were not posted by her and were stolen or something else. But if they were all posted publicly on social media, then
and it was her social media. It wasn't like
her social media.
Okay, so it's publicly on her social, and it wasn't in like the private for friends only posting.
Well, I don't think so. Of course, we could see, right? Maybe there is some, maybe the case turns it out. We'll see about that, right? I haven't looked at, I think she's alleging 250 different instances. So look, I haven't vetted all 250 instances, but that post, for example, that I showed, that was one she posted on Instagram at some point.
No,
right?
Yeah, she's
and then reeled that back in. It's like, yeah, you're kind of fucked on that one.
Yeah. She's out of here.
Wait. Let's get through I got a lightning round some of these super chats. Right. Natasha says, is this not live? Yes, we're live. And then again, for $2 says, definitely not live. If live, then late and gay. No, we're definitely on time here. Locals, the D-Gens demand it. Locals is up, you D-Gens, and I see your $1 tips over there like I'm a cheap hooker. What is this? You give me at least $2 before I acknowledge you. Once again, $2. We need our locals chat. Yes, I got you. Natasha, $5. Grifting hard to ignore our locals chat demand. No, it was just, you know what? Now I'm not going to post locals so I can make money off you. Fuck you, Natasha. Also, I love you. This abusive relationship. James S says, no kidding. Too busy sitting down locals D-Gens. Oh, God. Natasha says, my grandma always said about relationships, it's why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free. So if you're not married, then you are nothing but a 304. Wait, what? That's what your grandma thinks?
Yeah, that concept behind, the concept behind the milk cow free thing, right?
Yeah. I get that, right? Like, obviously, if you can get the benefit of, but nobody is holding out for marriage, right? See, like, this is something that it doesn't fall squarely on dudes or women, but essentially women in this case, in terms of controlling that aspect, the sex aspect, right? That is their call, right? So, I mean, if it's being given out, then yeah, of course, the incentive for marriage is much lower. If women were like, we're only having sex in marriage, and they really stuck to that, there'd be a lot more marriages. But of course, that's not something they're sticking to. Of course not, right? Brick Cormier says, let's not concentrate on the divorce side. I'm saying being married gives you rights as a father that the mother can deny you outside of marriage. Let me finish this as two-parter. says if you are getting a divorce, all this shit goes out the window because you will end up paying the state child support. Okay, I'm not Brit. I'm not sure. See, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, and Lauren, you're also an attorney, so I mean, you passed the bar. You should be able to think about this. My understanding is when it comes to parental rights, those stem from your parentage of the kid. There's no relation to whether you're married or not. Now, you're saying it's on the divorce side. Being married gives you rights as a father that the mother cannot deny you. I think those parental rights are inalienable as a parent. I'm not sure that it changes whether you're married or not. Is that some weird state law, Britt? I've really not run into that. That's a weird quirk of the law that would give a it's almost implying that a non-biological parent.
I guess if you're married as the father, okay, here's one thing that's kind of true. If you're married, then you're automatically the father of the baby that comes out of your wife, unless you could prove it's like biologically not yours within a certain time frame. However, let's say you knock up some woman and you're not married, she doesn't have to tell you that it's yours. She doesn't have to notify you. She doesn't.
No, but the thing is, at the hospital, like they typically want and they push to get some dude on that certificate, right?
Which is wild to me too, because if it's not right, so like let's say some dude signs it and he's not the biological father, now he's legally fucked,
and he's presumptively the father. Exactly. He's got to rebuke that he's not.
Yeah.
In order to do that, he's got to prove another person. He's got to actively prove another person is the father.
Yes. And I think like there's so many burdens, like this particular aspect of family law, I think is really burdensome on men and creating a lot of strains in relationships.
So I think that, like, for example, in this scenario, like, let's say that you were married to legal vices, right? And you're happily married, but one day you're drunk and you wander out of town and you meet up with I'm gonna pick somebody Sneeko, and you guys have a bastard child with Sneeko.
Oh,
right?
God.
And he agrees to the birth certificate, and it's on the birth certificate.
Oh my God. This is such a bad example. Why would you do this?
To say that like Sneeko would have less rights to his bastard child than legal vices, and legal vice would have more rights because he's your legal partner. I don't think that's how it works. I think if you got him on the birth certificate, you've got him. But the problem is a lot of times that bastard, right? The guy who just like pump and dumps you, let's say you went out to a bar and it was just a lonely night, whatever. You were really drunk. Like you had a lot of Four Loko.
Oh my God. Okay.
Like,
yes.
You were really drunk, you thought it was somebody else, they looked as charming as Nick Rekieta. And yeah, I mean, obviously those guys don't normally end up in the hospital with you. So typically it's the husband, which is typically why the husband is on the line.
I mean, and even if the husband doesn't sign the birth certificate, isn't it like in a lot of states, from my understanding?
Presumptively after a certain period of time, I think it's usually 4 or 6 years, two in Florida right now.
Or two. Yeah. I thought it was 2. It was 2 when I was studying for the Arizona family law, and then I kind of didn't do Barbary for Florida. So
different states are different.
Yeah.
So whatever. It's some number of years that's not very long. So you're taking care of that kid, and all of a sudden the baby daddy shows up and it's past the statute of limitations. So let's say 5 years later, statute's passed, baby daddy shows up and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, that's my kid. Have fun paying for him, cuck, and takes off, right? You can't do anything about that, right?
Well, from my understanding, you can't. Like, you had 5 years to determine whether or not the kid was yours, and you had 5 years to do a paternity test, and at that point, you can't. Because my understanding is if men could just do a paternity test after like 10 years, then it would be too late for the mother to go back and find the biological father, and that kid would be left fatherless. And the whole point is to protect the child to the utmost. Right. And so if men were able to like dip at these weird times in the child's life, I think that would be extremely difficult. So but it needs to give the men it's such a family law is such a really odd balancing of rights, because parents have these constitutional rights to be parents, while simultaneously the law definitely cares significantly more about the well-being of the child than it does about any other rights.
That's the primary focus in family law. In family law, it's always the best interest of the child, right? So that's in the family aspect of family law, right? Not necessarily in divorce when you're talking about equitable distribution or community property, but other than that, right, you're talking about best interest of the child,
right?
Not the fee-fees of the parents, right? But unfortunately though, best interest of the child is often interpreted to be, hey, you know, let's not put him with the dad, right? Let's presumptively take him away from the dad, or
yeah,
give less time to the dad, which is unfortunate.
Apparently, this isn't in presumption in like the actual statutes, but it's more of the presumption of the judges. Yeah, the application by the judges.
Some of the elements when you go through them, and I did this for a class I was teaching at one point. I have to do it again, but when you go through the elements, if you think about them carefully, a lot of times the elements, especially for like with divorce and equitable distribution, they do skew heavily to the female. If you really think about the elements and what they are, right? But you know, on their face, they're neutral, right? They're supposed to be neutral.
Yeah, but they have disparate impact, and then you
disparate impact, but like a real disparate impact, not like a this hurt my feeling because like one black guy who didn't have an ID, and showed up as dead, couldn't vote, so therefore it's a crime against humanity.
Right.
Okay, Nick Cruiser, no fault equals no responsibility. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we're at in the West, is we've accepted no fault as okay. So, you know, that's the value of secular marriage. Take it or there you go.
I use the term facially neutral. I was debating somebody who wasn't a legal scholar like a few days ago, and they said that I made that term up. And then the moderator agreed that, yeah, I was just relying too heavily on legal jargon in order.
They said that you made that up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, they're retarded.
Zen Shapiro.
Oh my God. Fucking retards.
Yeah.
Dude, retards. That's retarded. I mean, I get not using legal jargon. Look, I try not to, because you have the background. We can have that conversation. But if it was a layman, I wouldn't be saying facially neutral. I would just be saying like something that, actually I would say it like this, something that when you look at it on its face, when you just look at what it looks like plainly, is neutral. And you'd be like, yes, I agree. That's what we call facially neutral. And I explain it, right?
We were discussing the concept of like whether or not marriage should be only for religious people, like whether or not we should ban agnostic and atheist people from marriage. And I was saying that would
Were you for a ban? Were you pro banning it?
No, I was not. I was saying that would be violative of the First Amendment, because people have the right to choose their religion. And I also said that, so it'd be discrimination on its face. And then then I try to explain the difference between like discrimination on its face versus a facially neutral law. And I try to explain that I did that 5 times, and that's what the whole debate was about, me explaining that a million times.
That sounds so not fun. That sounds completely that's completely not fun. People have a full right to enter into shitty contracts. You can enter into a shitty contract with whoever. You can enter into a bad contract with whoever. It's just the same thing. To me, it's just the same. It's a very bad contract agreement. It's a very shitty one that a lot of people are fooled into. Mark of reality, just be happy until the drug wears off. Okay. Dehako says, and people wonder why men are giving up on sex and dating in the West. Too many legal and social issues. Yes, absolutely. Leprechaun Gold for $4. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Appreciate you very much. That is another Shiba. Always like the cute Shibas. Mark of reality for 2 says, so what does a 304 do to redeem? 2-year celibate. What would you, Lauren, what's your redemption program for whores? I mean, 304s. Sorry. What's your 304 redemption program? How are you redeeming them in the eyes of society?
Yeah, like if somebody who goes out frequently and they're constantly scantily clad and they are sleeping around a lot, and then they started either found some sort of religious purpose, or maybe they don't necessarily find a religious purpose, but they stop going out every night. They stop dressing scantily clad. They stop doing random hookups. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's nothing crazy. There's no like boot camp or anything. Like no whore
But
to
you have
wife.
to actually really stop. And the thing is, it's hard for us to confirm that somebody is actually really true going to stop and not going to go back and lapse into that, because oftentimes you get into a cycle, and I see this especially with girls, right? Well, they'll date like they'll date the douchebag, right? They'll date the I'm not going to use the terms. They'll date the very aggressive masculine dude, right? And then they'll date the Chad Thundercock, and then they're gonna date the Timmy the pencil pusher. Right. Then they're going to have the guy who's got the nice stable job. I'm a CPA and I have a really nice pocket protector and I get paid exactly $4,452.63 of which 75% goes to my mama. Like you go date Timmy and eventually your vagina falls asleep. Eventually your vagina falls asleep and you're back with Chad. Right. So like, and the cycle continues. Right.
Yeah. But that's kind of the problem where I was talking about like those extreme men's. Like to me sounds like the high IQ cell. And then you got the like glue sniffing Chad Thundercocks or whatever you call them.
Right.
I think
which is pretty accurate, which is pretty fucking accurate for what it is. It really is. Cause you're right. A lot of the Chad dudes are borderline retarded, if not retarded, like actually certified as retarded, right?
Yeah.
Like this is true. This is absolutely 100% true. These people are retarded. And listen, in a long-term partner, and I'll say this, I will say this too. In the girlfriends that I've had the best experience with, that I've dated for the longest, that I have positive memories of, I have nothing but positive things. They're actually smart people. They're actually people that are generally intelligent girls, right? But that being said, I don't go out with them for their intelligent conversation, but I think it is a good part of connection, of being able to understand somebody, right? Because you're able to get it, right? You're both able to kind of get it. But the problem is that a lot of times the guys who end up higher IQ do end up on the spurgy side of things. It's just the way society is, particularly because the high-paying jobs today are spurgy jobs. They're all spurgy jobs. All the high-paying jobs are spurg jobs. The old Chad jobs like that used to pay a lot, like working at the factory, right? That's fucking gone, right? I mean, unless you're going to Alaska to meet a crab fisher or whatever, like, you're going to meet like one of those ice road truckers. Good jobs.
Carpentry is still a good job. Like I think
okay, like a Jesus job. Okay, plumbers, carpentry. Okay,
job, electrician, like anything.
Or if you own those companies.
Yeah, I mean, that's really hot. Like contractors, But it's funny that you say like, well, how do we know? How do we know she's not going to go back to that? It's like how do you know any of these women weren't whores in the past? You don't know any of these other than what they tell you. All you could do is build a relationship with somebody and get to know them and try to. If you're looking past red flags because you think that they're hot or because you think they have money or whatever it is, then you're the problem. And you have to genuinely try to get to know somebody. And if they don't seem like the type of person who's going to whore around, if they seem like the type of person who is genuinely into you for who you are and that you could build a life with and somebody that you want to spend eternity with, then you stay with them. Otherwise, it's not worth it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Huge one here from Tankrat. Thank you so much, Tankrat, for being a baller. Dropping the 250 dinar, which says, what do you guys think about the double standards put on men? Like objectification plays in relationships today. I think it's bad. Before Me Too, I would not be alone with a woman coworker to protect myself since her word trumps mine. By the way, that last part there, 100%. If you are in modern America in the West, you cannot close a door with a woman in your office. Do not fucking do that ever, right? Unless there's a third person there, right? So if there's a woman in the office, there needs to be a third person in your office with that. I mean, it's just that's the way it is.
How
right?
else are you going to have a threesome in the office unless the door is closed?
Well, yeah,
all three.
Yeah, of course, right? Of course, that's the only thing that went on with 3 people in my office, threesomes. No, but look, like objectification, look, that's something that I think it's being exposed, right? I think honestly, the good thing about this is like a white pill about the red pill is that like it's brought these things to awareness, right? These things are out there now. Even kids on fucking TikTok are like, they know red pill facts now. Like, oh, it's okay if you objectify us, right? You know, like Magic Mike is okay, but you know, Debbie Does Dallas is questionable, right? You know, or like they're gonna shame the girls at 11. It's like, no. If Magic Mike is okay, 11 is okay, right?
Right. Like, well, it's funny because actually
they're either both wrong. They're either both wrong or they're both not, right? You have to pick one and be consistent, right?
But then some of the red pill talking points is also, no, we don't want men and women to be equal because men and women are not equal. They're two very different creatures. They have two different life purposes and life goals. And so men and women are not the same and we don't need to treat them the same.
Well, and I agree. And like, I agree with that in the sense that we're not equal as in like parity equal. We're like yin yang, right? So like, obviously there are things because we're humans that are the same, right? Because we're humans and the way we interact is consistent. But there are things that are different, right? Like for example, physical strength, social acuity. Women have better social acuity, have generally better spotting of like fine motions. So facial recognition, like women can spot liars better, right? So
I'm actually medically diagnosed autistic. You can lie straight to my face and I will have like no idea.
Well, that's because you're autistic, right? So that's like,
yeah,
that's the biggest thing. By the way, most women that end up being based, like it's kind of, wasn't that the point? I don't know if you ever saw that movie, but like all the honey badgers, right? They're all like the autistic lesbians, like the men's rights women, right? They're all autistic lesbians, all of them.
Okay, well, I have to start getting into puss, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you have to just like give it up and like just go to puss.
No, I'm into the men right now, unfortunately. But
okay. What's your type? What's your type of guy, Lauren? What's your type of guy?
You know, it's actually really bad. I don't have a type. I'm into like, I don't care if you're short. I don't care if you're tall. I don't care if it's
old Korean guy. You're good with it.
Old Korean guy, old Korean guy.
That particular one. You got a shot. Get in there, bro.
No, I really just need to have like a really good connection with you. Like I need to get to know you on a personal level and connect with you. So yeah, that's all it really is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, listen. So you got a hunchback in Notre Dame that rolls up. It has a really good connection with you. You know.
No, you have to be sexually attracted to them. But the thing is, it's like some women are like for instance, I have a friend who's like, I cannot stand blonde guys. Like they have to be tall, dark, handsome. They have to have like olive skin. Whereas like I like surfer guys. I like Australians. I like, black. God. I like white. I like Mexican. I like Asian. Like you're not like,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Got it. As long as they're not looking like they're, Phantom of the Opera over here. They're not, Quasimodo. You're going to be all right. Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. As long as they're hot.
Torgo says $5 flat funny bucks. You can stop embarrassing us with the ghetto headphones. Those headphones belong to the streets. These headphones have higher body counts than the whores at 11 in Miami. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I'll go to Akihabara. I swear today I will go to Akihabara. I will buy new headphones. The problem is they have to have a professional grade connection to work with this microphone because let me can I get this on the camera? Is it going to show? Get my ass on my see there? It's got that professional grade connection. It's not like your cheap headphone jack. It's not your fucking AirPods. It's got to have a solid connection. So I've got to go find one that is at a good that is available over here in Japan. So I'll try to find one today.
Yeah, quick reminder, if you have AirPods, break them within 3 years to get that warranty to get a new pair. I did not know that.
There you go. Break your AirPods. Not legal advice.
Yes.
Apple, do not sue me. Tonberry Masta says, first rule of dating, never ever date a lawyer. Would you date a lawyer?
Probably not.
Another lawyer?
Maybe. It really depends. I tried to date a lawyer once. I tried to date like guys in law school, and they were cringe. They were super cringe. They were gross.
Wait, do you talk about where you went to law school or no?
Yeah, I went to Suffolk Law School in Boston.
I know Suffolk. My friend went to Suffolk. He did study abroad in Madrid, and that was my first trip abroad, was to go to see him in Madrid. And we went to Amsterdam, and I convinced my mother, hello, Mom, I know you're out there. The statute of limitations on you being angry about this is run. But I convinced her I was going there to like, oh, there's tulips. And I'm like, yes, there's absolutely not legal marijuana there. So it was good job. But no, it was a fun trip, and drinking and everything else. It was a good trip. It was fun. I was drinking in Miami at age 14, so it really didn't matter anyways. Statute of limitations also run on that motherfucker, so come get me. But yeah, no, dating a lawyer is definitely something I can advise again. I dated a lawyer for 2-3 years. Horrible. I think, when we talk about the yin yang thing, there's no compliment. It's just all like too much the same energy, and it's like you're working.
Yeah, I get that.
Like when I want to come home, the last thing I want to do is work more. Ted Park for Canadian 1750 says, although your headphones seem okay to me, here's some more funding for them. Thank you, guys. I'm going to start like a fucking GoFundMe for Andrew's poverty headphones. Oh, God. Take Rat for another 25 said, I do think paternity tests should be performed before putting names in a birth certificate. What do you think about that?
Yes, I love that. Like, I actually said that. I almost feel like it should be automatic. But my one thing is, I don't like the government getting their greedy little fingers into everything. So if
that's the problem. That's the problem. The government will have all that information. That's the problem.
So like they'd have like all of your DNA and all of that, and I just don't want like the government to be determining whose DNA is connected to who and all that, and it's just creepy. So yeah. But other than that, I've suggested that before.
Yeah. Jay says, I got a decent body count, but I can't remember the last time a guy asked me what it was. Legit over 7 years. It's about how you carry yourself.
Exactly.
Well, that's true. Exactly. And also how you act and how you behave. I think if you're congruent, there's not going to be a lot of questions. The problem is with people that are not congruent between their actions and their words. And when you earlier were talking about how to judge a relationship or a girl or a guy, by the way, it's by their actions. Like, I don't trust people and what they say anymore, especially not red pill people. I trust them by seeing them walk the walk and talk the talk. If they're out there and they're not doing it, I'm like, why the fuck am I going to listen to you? If some fat fuck is trying to tell me about fitness, I'm like, yeah, no, bro, you're fat. Fuck you. You know nothing about fitness.
Or poor people telling you about finance. That's my favorite. Right. Like how to become a millionaire overnight, bitch. Why aren't you a millionaire?
If you had this answer, right? Like, why would you not be, swimming right now? If this was a true answer, why are you even sharing this? Just begs the question. Natasha says, here's something kind of missed. How many women go sex overdrive trying to win a man over to keep him, like desperation for a relationship? Ooh, I want to get your thoughts before I say anything about this. So how many women go sex overdrive, like just throw a lot of sex at a dude to try to win a man to keep him?
Yeah, I mean, all the time. I think women do that, especially with men who are not for instance, like ignoring the red flags is exactly what I'm talking about. It's like if you feel the urge that you're slipping and like you need to keep him and you need to manipulate him in some way to get him to think outside of logic and think with like his little head, then
important head.
You're already not the right person for you. But I think if people do it all the time,
Yeah.
Yeah, it hurts them more than it hurts the person that they're trying to manipulate.
Oh, absolutely. Let me get a couple of these locals chats because we've actually got a lot of locals chats. We've got some Rumble as well. Actually, I'll do Rumble first. I love you, Rumble. Okay, Rumble over here. SC Medic for 2 says, in South Carolina, parental rights vary widely with marriage. Okay, well, that's good to know. Thank you, SC Medic. Did not know South Carolina law because I'm not a South Carolina lawyer. And once again, consult your local laws because they differ, right? Lauren and I guess we're barred in Florida, right? You've passed the bar, right? So you're fully certified, all that good stuff.
I'm waiting on character and fitness, but other than that, yeah.
Okay, so let's be clear. We have to say that you're waiting on character and fitness. So you're not, so you passed the bar exam, but you have not been certified by the Florida State. Okay, got it. Yeah. So by the Florida State Bar. Okay, so got that one. And next, if it's in a private room and she runs for the office, copyright infringement? Are you talking about like?
If it's in a yeah, I was talking about if it is in a private room and she runs.
That's from earlier. If it was in a private, if it's in a private room and she runs for office.
I don't get the run for office part.
Why does run for office matter?
Yeah.
It doesn't change an analysis at all. Copyright infringement. Like literally, okay.
Like, if you're running for office and you get control over the population in a degree that other people don't, I'd be running for office all the time.
You get extra rights. You get special rights. Yeah, no. I mean, you do unofficially, right? But like on the books, we're all citizens, right? On the books, we're all equal in America. Like on paper. That being said, obviously politicians get special passes on a lot of things that others don't get special passes on. But no, there's no extra protection for copyright. It doesn't change the analysis for example, something like revenge porn or whatever else. That's the same analysis if we're talking about revenge porn. So hope that got the question. And then one more here real quick because it's a $10 super chat. From Emerant says, every baby since 2010 has had their DNA sampled to check for issues that may arise. That is the law. The government already has your children's DNA on file. I think you're referring to GINA, which is the Genetic Information Non-Disclosure Act. So I think when about the same time that passed, it's always funny, these government regulations where they say, oh, well, we're not allowed to give out your information for bad purposes or private purposes, right? They can't discriminate against you based on this information, but at the same time, the government is allowed to take it without question, right? So would not be surprised if they are screening the kids in the US. I believe you might be right about that, but I'd have to check. I'd have to confirm that.
But what would they do? Let's say they screened a kid and it turned out the kid had some sort of illness. What would they do? Like
inform the parents. You can inform the parents, but you couldn't change their insurance rate. So let's say the kid has a high chance of skin cancer, right? You could inform the parents, say, hey, your kid is super at risk for skin cancer. Like he's probably going to get, some sort of, tumor that's going to have to be removed at some point, right? Or, you're going to need to really check every spot, make sure it's not a melanoma and make sure you're really diligent. They can tell it to a parent, but you can't say, okay, well, now we're going to deny you coverage or this hospital isn't going to serve you, right? I mean, that's obviously an issue. Let's see. Someone said they're screening for Han. They don't want non-Han in a position of power. I think you're talking about the CCP, but it's not wrong. Okay. So over here on locals, had a lot of questions, including some for you, Lauren. So starting here, Xander's Rant says, I can't seem to find YouTuber Super Chat with America account in this country. He's in Japan. You're casting a shadow on the stream mindset, or should I say very shady? Yes, I'm always very shady. Thank you, Xander. Ben SC said, I have a good friend who worked her way through nursing school as a single mom, dancing for a living. If you didn't know her history, you would never guess. Do you know any girls like that, Lauren, that were strippers or OnlyFans girls? Maybe in law school, anybody who did maybe they were sugar baby.
I knew one girl. It's not quite the same. The only this is the only person that comes to mind. She was like a juvenile delinquent, and she was like really horrible, and she did like egregious crimes, and she spent most of her life in juvenile hall, and then she became like a gunner in law school, and she was just like a top tier law student. So it's not quite the same, but it is like a changing your life around 180.
Well, yeah, my one of my best friends, who was a woman, right? Oh my God, based Andrews, best friend in law school was a woman. Not only that, she was a liberal woman. But I secretly made her. I secretly made her based. She actually ended up becoming like the most trad waifu of waifus, and she never thought she would have kids. She didn't want kids. She was anti-kid. She met this awesome guy, fucking amazing guy, super smart guy, who was like, look, I'll take care of you. Got money. My family's got money. He's a great dude, like morally a good person. Had one kid, loved it so much, loved being a mother so much, something she never thought that she had two more.
Aww.
Right. You know, aww. It's like, it's absolutely, mwah. It's perfect to see that metamorphosis. Yeah. And people learn. James S1200 says, respect Lauren's dedication to the grift. Seems like she's grifting hard. An epic challenge would be a grift her way to be presenter on the 4th annual Grifties presented by Hotep Nation. Do you accept?
Does Hotep? So does Hotep do that?
Yeah, he has a
show called the Grifties. Oh, because I heard
it's always been him.
I heard about the Grifties when Chili De Castro was running last year. I'm a huge fan of his. He was the first person I ever interviewed on my channel was Chili De Castro. I do find it funny that I'm called a grifter, but I do think like a grifter is somebody who chooses an ideology and then sticks with the talking points 100%. And my whole thing, I think maybe what you could call me is a contrarian. I don't know if you could necessarily call me a grifter.
Contrarians, yeah, but like it can come off the same way, because a contrarian is like, okay, are you arguing just to argue for clicks or for exposure? Which, to be completely honest, is it grifting? Like, it's a brilliant strategy because it works, right? So like, when people are contrary, sometimes just to be contrary, you end up looking at their engagement on social media and, oh, look, they get a bunch of hits, they get a bunch of views, it goes wild, right? So people are obviously doing it because, hey, it's getting attention. I mean, I think that's part of why Red Pill went so mainstream, is because it's completely contrary to what people have been saying for decades, right? And what the traditional, especially the advice of the left, which is just get in touch with her feelings more, bro. And if you just do that, then she's going to want to have 16 children with you, and you'll have no problems at all. Obviously that's not working out, right?
Yeah.
Obviously that hasn't been working out.
Telling men like you just need to get in touch with your feelings is not the solution, because a lot of men are way too in touch with their feelings. I think it really just it really depends on which man who you're giving advice to. It's actually funny because we're acting like the red pill is a new concept, but I used to, when I was a kid, there was this show called The Pickup Artist that I used to watch. I thought it was the funniest thing, and I thought it was the greatest show. And he gave like dumb little hookup advice, but it seemed to work, even though like where the concept of negging came from, and all of these pickup art and
that's pickup strategy. Pickup strategy isn't necessarily red pill. Like, the only red pill is just understanding that men and women are different in how we conceptualize especially love, and how we interact with relationships, and what we're looking for and what we need, right? It's like needs safety, security, right? Genetic potential, right? Versus needs grog smash, right? Sniff glue and smash. That's what most guys are primarily concerned with. And then beyond that, connection, personality, blah, blah, blah. But number one, Hulk smash, right? Just understanding the basic facts, which my good friend Ben Hart who's over in Thailand, he's been over in Asia for 20 years. So when I explain these things to him, you know what he says? He's like, that's just the way it was back in the day, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever. I talked to old guys who, they've been serving abroad or working abroad for 40, 50 years. They don't get it. They're like, those are just facts. It's not red pill. It's just like, this is things your dad just kind of knew. But a lot of people, because they didn't grow up with dads, right? They were never told these things.
So maybe it's just like a societal pendulum swinging back. So like we've had a long tradition of, a patriarchy, which ran well, but had some flaws. And then we had feminist movements, which in my opinion went drastically too far. And now we have the pendulum swinging back. And a lot of that is being ushered in, and it's being called the red pill movement, where it's actually just going back to
it's a correction.
It's a correction. But then again, every extreme is an extreme, and you should probably want something more balanced. So red pill isn't 100%, but simultaneously, I'm not going to agree with the Libby cucks. So, you have to come up with
something that works for you ultimately.
Right.
Britt Cormier says, my problem with paternity test before putting my name on the birth certificate, if I refuse to give DNA, does my name automatically get put on the birth certificate? So my choices are give the government DNA or paid support. Yeah, that would be a little fucked, right? So if there's a law that says you get an automatic paternity test, they probably make it required or they punish you. So they'd have to, you can't make a law without a punishment for not following the law.
You can't force dudes. You can't just force any dude who shows up at the hospital to sign the birth certificate. And
no, but I'm saying is,
guy is the father. You guys no, I'm not. I'm not going to sign that birth certificate.
Yeah, but I'm saying if they change the law. So let's say they passed a new law tomorrow that says mandatory paternity test. Every single baby has to have a paternity test, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would have to have a penalty for that law if you didn't follow it. So if a guy didn't follow that, he would need to be punished. Now, Britt assumes that the punishment.
The baby would need to be the mother wouldn't be able to deprive. If that were the law, I think the way it'd be written is the mother wouldn't be able to deprive the father or the hospital from taking the baby and taking the baby's blood to do the test. But simultaneously, I don't think any men would be required to be giving up their DNA, because that's a Fifth Amendment issue.
Well, yeah, that's the broader issue with the law in general, right? So there's broader issues with requiring the father on that side. I think it's
just about requiring the mom to give the mom can't say, no, this is my baby, you can't do testing on it. It's okay, well, this guy thinks he's the dad, so we're going to do a paternity test. Sorry.
Yeah, you've got to do a test because this guy's making a claim, so you have to follow up with that.
I don't see, that's another thing. I don't know if there's any, let's say a woman gets pregnant and she's been sleeping around with 4 or 5 different guys. And
very normal.
And one of the guys really wants to be a dad. So he shows up at the hospital and he's like, I think I'm the father of that child. And she goes, no, I don't think so. Does he have any right to force a paternity test on that baby? Or
I do believe so. And guys, yes, I know my screen was flickering for a second. I fixed it. It was a issue with the connection. It was not communist China, although maybe, but I'm in Japan, so we've got freedom over here in anime and waifu pillows. We're good. So yeah, no, I think you can actually force the paternity test in that case. I think you can say, no, we're doing a paternity test now, especially if you have proof of relationship or proof of some connection, right? And you're not just you're not completely a rando, but I think you can, if you say that baby is mine, to at least get the DNA of the baby. at least of the baby
then,
itself.
Then, you just, like, then any random guy can be like, I think I'm the dad. Just like walk into any. I think I am the.
If this is a fatherless child, where no other guy is on the birth certificate.
Okay, fine. Then what if there is a dad, but let's say this woman marries a nice.
I think you have what's called a
Thunder Dick on the side, and Chad Thunder Dick comes to the hospital, and he's like, "That's my baby."
Yeah. So we're back to the Sneeko legal vices hypothesis, right? So,
have you know Sneeko used
Lauren
to do
was
porn.
Sneeko's bastard
Is
baby. I know.
Is that why you're thinking of Sneeko as Chuck Thunderdick?
No, absolutely not. I'm actually really joking in a serious joke way. Okay, so no, whatever. So like Chad Thundercock turns out to want to actually be a dad, right? So like he has a revelation, right? So first of all, that's very uncharacteristic for Chad Thundercock. But like, let's say like he finds the light, you know, and like he's suddenly, you know, like he has a Saul of Tarsus moment. You know, for you people out there, you know, he has that.
And he
that
runs
turnaround.
from the bar straight to the hospital.
Straight to the hospital. This is totally fucking delusional, by the way, right? So like, this is completely delusional, right? Which is typical because you know only women can come up with delusional stuff. So comes run to the hospital. It's like, baby, I want to be the dad, but Beta Tim is like, well, it's too late because we've already signed the paperwork, mister. So you're going to need to step off here. And if you have any comments, please file them in triplicate. And please make sure it's on wide rule paper. Please. Right? So, yeah. No, listen. You'd have to have proof at that point, right? So you'd have to come back, I think, and have some sort of, like you said, there's a rebuttable presumption. So the presumption is that the guy who signed the certificate is the dad, but it's rebuttable. And I think if it's within that period, of the statute of limitations, which you said in Arizona is 2, let's use that as an example.
I think
if it's within 2 years, I think, yeah, you have a good shot at overturning that if you're the actual dad. But if you're just like not the dad, you're a random dude, then I don't think they're necessarily going to
I just want to. I not only want to read the statute, but I just really want to see the process played out, where they force like a couple to give over their baby to hospital staff in order to give a paternity test to some random dude who says he fucked the mom.
I don't think this happens very often, by the way. I don't think random dudes are running out there. Like, and in fact, I would be careful to say it probably never happens, right? Where random dudes are like,
legal process set up for this very particular situation because it could happen. And I'm sure the funniest thing about law school is actually learning all of these stupid rules that can never potentially happen. But
never
it's
happen.
Like, situation, but then what if this situation? But what if this
you
situation?
Get a certain level of ridiculousness.
You do.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy. Let me go here and I think we got that. Oh, sorry, there's a couple more here on locals. So locals, C3 Metal for $5 says exorcisms for all 304s before they want the 666. Okay, thank you, C3 Metal. And another $1 exposure with going channel hopping is grifting. Well, then I am a hell of a grifter because I channel hop all the time. I'm like a channel hopping whore. So I mean,
that much.
Yeah, I slide into a lot of different channels, but only ones with people that I've, like I said, like I've done a panel with, I've talked to, I've been on, I've met in real life, tend to hang out with them. So let me ask you. I'm still
trying to convince you to come on to my panel.
No, I will now. No. Now, hold on. Father, Son, Holy based. I can come on your show now because we've had a normal interaction, right? And you understand that we're like having a conversation, we're talking, it's cool, we're cool, right? The problem is this is what happens, and it especially happens on these big panels. And you know, it happens. I'll just throw Nick under the bus because Nick will self-admit that this has happened on his panels. I love Nick too. Legal senpai, just stop being such a beta. But other than that, but that being said, you get 8 people on a panel, and then one person doesn't know somebody else on that panel. So they end up where one of them says something, and the other one maybe like you get on and you're trying to be contrarian, right? And what does that come off as, Lauren? What does that come off as?
Aggressive or fighting?
There's another word. There's another word.
Antagonistic.
Antagonistic. Okay. There's other. Okay. It's very good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe a little bit of a bitch. Just yeah. Bitchy. It comes out as bitchy. I'm gonna use that word. Because I'm a misogynist. So, but people might get, and then you get angry. So you say that you're contrarian, right? Somebody else comes on, right? Andrew Bronca. God, if Andrew Bronca's on the stream, it becomes combative, right? It becomes just a pain in the ass. But if you two were alone, you could actually talk through it, because there's 8 people, you get 10 seconds out, maybe 5 seconds out, and you don't really fully understand each other's position. Like, I could argue with you if you just said something like, we need to forgive these 304s, and we were on an 8-person panel. I think I would jump down your throat for that one. Like, we just need to turn around and absolve these whores. I'm like, no, maybe we need to pump the brakes on that, sister. Right?
No, you have to show, you have to like become a whole new person, like an unrecognizable type that would be worthy of doing that. But I don't think we should, judge people forever for their past.
No. Of course, right? Yeah, of course. But you have to have some discernment, right? And you have to be able to, in real life, you need to be able to tell good people from bad people, whether it's in dating, church, business, wherever, right? If you run into a bunch of bad people, that's kind of on you and your lack of ability to spot bad actors.
But that's true. But one thing with this panel, I'm trying to make it so, like, I want a bunch of people who maybe wouldn't get along naturally, but but I want the topics extremely lighthearted. Like, for instance, I got the idea from this Instagram account where it's these 2 attorneys that they argue over Harry Potter issues. Like, should Hogwarts be liable to negligence? Yeah, so I was trying to think of something.
I did that for Star Wars. Like, if you look at Film Threat, where it's like, we're like, oh, we're putting them on trial for ruining Star Wars, right? We're like arguing it like it's a fake. It's cute. It's not like we're all having fun, but we get like fake passionate or real passionate, whatever, about, okay, this, that. It's fun. I like that fun. That sort of stuff I love. I love wholesome fun, arguing. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, that's what the panel is planning to be. I'm just like thinking of ideas and I'm like trying to work it out to be like a game.
Perfect. Let's see here. And I think just want to make sure, check behind the screen. Okay, got all that. So I want to talk about before, as we go to the back end of the show here, I want to talk about the case you're covering. So do you want to talk a little bit about this like Turtle Boy case you're on, and give us people a little teaser so they can check out your channel and check out your content for what you're covering on that?
Yeah, it's so crazy. I need to do more. I'm doing more videos on this, but the case is insane. So essentially, there's a woman named Karen Reed, and she was dating a Boston police officer. One night, they went out drinking. They ran into other Boston cops. They invited them to an after party. Karen drops off her boyfriend at the after party, goes home, and he does not come home. She calls around. She goes looking for him. She calls other people who are at the party. They look for him. They drive by and they see his body laying in the snow. Karen gets charged with his murder. The prosecution alleges that she dropped him off at the party, then angrily got mad at him and then rammed her car backwards and then drove away. And the timeline doesn't really make sense. Also, if you look at his body, there seems to be all of these weird marks on it, like insinuating that he was either punched in the face or scratched by a dog. So it appears, based off all of the evidence, that he actually went into this party, was murdered while inside the party, and then these Boston police officers are covering it up by blaming the girlfriend. So it's a pretty huge case in Boston. People are blaming the police officers for.
Where does the turtle part come out of?
Turtle Boy is the journalist covering it. He was the first journalist to cover it. He was the only journalist to cover it. It was pretty like, it was pretty amazing, and it just like blew him up on every social media. It's just been kind of awesome for him. Now, since he's been covering it, he's been going to these people who are the alleged murderers, and he's been getting in their face and going to their police, like to their pizza stores, and asking them like, why did you murder him? Why do you think it's okay? Why are you blaming Karen? And now, so
he's gone all the way. He's gone all the way.
Yeah, like he's like in there. He's going to like, one of them is a counselor for the city, and he's going to city meetings with his camera, being like, this guy's a murderer, with like a sign, holding a sign, city council meetings. So it's that's
a tough one right there. Going out, that's defamation. Unless you can.
Well, it's defamation if he didn't do it. It's defamation if he is a murderer. But
potential defamation. Yes.
Right. So, however, now Aiden Turtle Boy has recently been arrested for harassing and not even harassment, for witness intimidation and witness picketing, for going to these witnesses and calling them murderers in certain locations, such as courtroom steps.
Yeah.
And
very interesting. No, it sounds like a fascinating case. It's a fascinating case I didn't even know about. So, I mean, I'm glad you let me know about that one. It sounds really, really good. Actually, really good. Were you always interested in true crime? Is that why you became a lawyer, or was that just something that you kind of picked up later?
Well, I'm just really good friends with Aiden. And so, I have been following this case. I am very much into true crime. But I became a lawyer just because, I was a math major in college. And after I got my degree, I noticed like if I wanted to get my PhD, it seems like I would become a professor, and I just didn't want to be in academia my entire life. So I was teaching math, and I was working with children a lot. So I wanted to get away from just working with kids all day, and I wanted to be around like adults in the day. And so I started working at a law firm, and then COVID hit, and I was back to being in my room by myself. So I applied to law school, and I got a scholarship. So I went. And
so you actually worked in a law firm, and you're like, okay, I know what this work actually entails. You didn't just like watch Legally Blonde and decide to go the next day. It wasn't like a flippant decision.
No, first of all, my mom's an attorney. So like I know her whole life as an attorney. And then also, I worked in a law firm, and I worked on the largest dental case in American history. It was a really fascinating case. It was, and I was helping a lot of people, and all of them were children. And it was fascinating. So I thought that would be good work, and thought it'd be lucrative, and that's all.
Worked out so far.
I ended up not liking like the mass tort stuff, which is what I was working on.
That's so boring.
It can be pretty. This one was a med-mal mass tort, where these kids they went in for dental treatment, and it was in Anaheim, California, where a lot of people speak Spanish. A lot of people speak Spanish because there's a lot of Hispanic people, a lot of Mexican people in Anaheim. So they would tell people, oh, you're covered under Medicaid or whatnot. And these people would come in for consultations just to get their kids' teeth cleaned or whatever. And these dentists would say, oh, you have all of these your kids has all of these cavities. Not only do they have all these cavities, some of the cavities are so deep, we're going to have to do root canals on the baby teeth called pulpotomies. And these parents were like, oh, we're going to get a second opinion. And they're like, oh, you're going to take your kid out of necessary medical treatment. We might have to call ICE. We might have to call CPS. And so it's like, oh, okay, I'll let you drill on my kid's teeth. And they would even if they had minor surface cavities, these dentists would drill, and do like 8-10 pulpotomies, which is wild, on each child. Usually you only need to do fillings. You usually don't even need to do that. And they would strap them into papoose boards to like kind of torture them, strap them down. It was a wild case. And not only that, they stopped cleaning the water lines because the dentist office was actually owned by an attorney who he sold it to his cousin for $1, like the legal entity.
But yeah. Just pass it over. That's normal.
But he still ran the business and incurred and received the profits because he still owns the entity that retains the profits from the company. It was just like a shell company, switch up mixeroo. So the dentist wasn't running the dentist office, and so the lawyer was. He didn't know to clean the water lines. The water lines never got cleaned. They got filled with mycobacteria. Over 200 kids, while receiving like surgical treatment, which was mostly unnecessary, received mycobacteria in their gums, which is like a flesh-eating like bacteria, which if it gets into your heart or your brain, it kills you. Some of these kids have facial deformities and all sorts of shit. And yeah, we helped them out. It was really cool.
Cool. That's good. And sometimes, look, I have friends who do med mal, and they really do help some cases where there's really horrible situations where, you know, there's good that can be done. But the actual legal work, the actual day-to-day legal work in those cases, right, in working up these cases is sometimes mind-numbing. When you talk about discovery, talking about going through thousands of different documents, you know, and it's not all the sexy stuff. It's not all the courtroom arguing. And I think a lot of people, when they go to law school, they think it's going to be all courtroom. Right, that it's going to be 99% courtroom, and it's never that. The practice of law is never going to be 99% courtroom. There's always, even if you're somebody who's a criminal defense attorney or a prosecutor or a tort lawyer or, you know, even a slip and fall guy, you know, dog bite guy, you're still going to be doing a significant amount of time in research, in study, and discovery, and preparation. So the paperwork, the writing, that's going to be 90% of it. Court is just the sexy part, right, that people see.
The paperwork is starting to get very automated now, which is very nice with all of these AI tools.
Well, and I think, my opinion is it's going to change law firms, because I think the law firm model is not going to be sustainable with AI, because a lot of these lower positions are going to be able to be completely eliminated.
Right.
So
why are you going to need a paralegal anymore?
Well, like, maybe you need one, but let's say you have a law firm and you have 6 paralegals. Maybe you need one paralegal to manage the AI and to print and to, you know, do everything else, to hand you copies of whatever, because people.
Would you even need them to have a paralegal's like certificate at this point?
Oh, hell no, no. They can be they can be whatever. And paralegals. Well, and paralegals used to not have certificates. It's only recently where they've started paralegal programs because they want to make more money. In fact, most of the paralegals that have those certificates suck. The best paralegals are the old ones that have been around for 20 or 30, 40 years, and they know what they're doing. They know the court. They know the people. Those are the ones that are the OGs. Those are the ones that I'm like, I want her. I'm hiring her. Like the old one who's got like 3 teeth, you know, but she knows everybody at the clerk's office. I want her. I want the gum job. Speaking of the gum job, thank you for a $10 super sticker, Leprechaun Gold, on the way out here. And guys, send a big thank you. Elle's in the chat for Lauren here today. She's been great hanging out with me today here as I'm over here in Tokyo. And I'm very happy to do this fun stream with you, fun panel with you in the future, Lauren. Hang out for a couple of seconds. Do you have any other thing you want to promote? Anything you want to throw out there for everybody?
No, just the next time I have you on panel. Lauren DeLaguna is my channel. You could find me on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, and that's about it. That is it. Yeah.
So you guys got it. I'll put her stuff in the description afterwards, after the video wraps. I'll put that in the description so you guys can see that. You guys can deal with that. And you guys can connect with her on Twitter and YouTube and all those other things. Give me a couple minutes, but I'll get it in there. Other than that, guys, thank you very much, Lauren, for joining me. It's been really fun. It's been great talking with you. Guys, chat, I love you. Much love from Tokyo. Me rub you wrong time. And I will catch you on the next one tomorrow morning, my time, which is your evening, same time, same place. Catch you guys later. Peace.